Now, this is PrepTest 157, Section 1, Passage 2, the prescriptive versus descriptive grammarians. This is a medium difficulty passage. The structure is pretty clean and straightforward, but the author's opinion is going to sneak up on you if you're not watching for it. Now, this one is a humanities passage. The author is refereeing a debate and then quietly picking a winner. The winner is prescriptivism. That is the whole passage in one sentence. But here's the problem. The first 3 paragraphs belong to the descriptivists. You hear their arguments, you see their example, you read their objections laid out in full. And by the time you finish paragraph 3, your brain has been marinating in the descriptivist case for 2/3 of the passage. And so when the author finally pushes back, it feels like a minor counterpoint, but it's not. It is the whole reason the passage exists. The most important paragraph is paragraph 4. Everything before it is just setup. If you coast through paragraph 4 at the same speed that you read paragraphs 1 through 3, you're going to get the author's stance wrong. And that mistake will cost you on at least 2 questions. Now, paragraph 1 lays out the 2 camps. Prescriptivists draw a line between correct and incorrect usage. Descriptivists say, just describe what people actually do. So you move through it at normal speed. The one thing to flag here is the word unscientific. The descriptivists throw that at the prescriptivists early. Now remember that because it'll become a whole objection later. Paragraph 2 is the data example. Prescriptivists say data should stay plural because it comes from Latin. Descriptivists say people already use it as a singular mass term like water, so the fight's over. That is illustration. It makes the descriptivist position feel concrete and reasonable, but you don't want to get lost in the details here. The example is serving the argument. It is not the argument itself, though. Then paragraph 3 names the 2 objections. First is the scientific objection. Language follows natural laws, and trying to stop change is like trying to defy gravity. Then second, you have the egalitarian objection. Prescriptivists are just an educated elite, forcing their habits on everybody else. Now notice the author lets the descriptivists use the word immoral here. That is the strongest possible version of their case. And the author is handing them that microphone on purpose. You're supposed to hear them at full volume before the rebuttal. Now you want to slow down. Paragraph 4 is where the author steps in. The first move is factual. Some attempts to regulate language have actually worked, and that alone chips away at the argument that you can't fight nature. Then the author anticipates the comeback. Descriptivists would say those cases would have happened without prescriptivist help. And the author tells us that this is in large measure an article of faith. You want to stop on that phrase. The author is saying the descriptivist's scientific objection isn't actually scientific, it is belief dressed up as law. And then comes the finish. Language isn't physics, people make choices, and choices respond to persuasion. Those 3 sentences and the scientific objection is done. Then paragraph 5 handles the egalitarian objection. It's a lot shorter and more direct. The author concedes the surface point that yes, prescriptivists look like an elite, but their goal is inclusion, not exclusion. A standard language lets more people participate, not fewer. You want to read this one at normal speed. The concession followed by the rebuttal is the whole move, so don't overthink this one. Now, the key move here is the author giving the descriptivists 3 full paragraphs to make their case, then taking both objections apart in 2. So the passage might feel balanced on the surface, but underneath it's an argument for one side. The author believes prescriptivism is worth defending. The main trap here is treating this as a neutral comparison. If you walked away thinking the passage just presented 2 views fairly, you missed the turn. And that mistake is going to hit you on main point questions, attitude questions, and any question about why the author brought up the data example. Before you go to the questions, check yourself on 3 things. First, why does the author say the laws of language aren't like the laws of physics? Second, whose argument does the data example support? And what is the author's opinion of that argument? And third, when the author admits prescriptivists resemble an elite, does that weaken or strengthen the prescriptivist case the way the author frames it?